Amen. God bless you. Powerful song from a powerful lady. You can tell when people have been through something. When they sing certain songs, you just know. You can't help but amen. Thank God. Amen. John chapter 6, verse 9, we read from the NRSV. There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they amongst so many people who may be seated? Oh, Father God, we thank you for this day. Thank you, God, as the song has just witnessed to us that after we've done all we can, we just stand. We thank you for your words and song as a reminder that there will be times in our life when we can't control the situation. But there's a reminder that after we've done all we can, we just stand. For I've been crucified with Christ, it is no longer I that live, but Christ who lives in me. The life I live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and delivered himself for me. I pray, God, that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. My God, my rock, my strength, and my redeemer. Amen. 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 Amen.
Hey, my child, do you know who you are, who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be if you try to be what you can be? Hey, my child, do you know where you're going, where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey, my child, do you know you are strong? I mean really strong. Do you know you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, my child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow your nation will be what you want to be.
Thank you, Sister Mariah. Our subject here is Hey Black Child. This poem, Hey Black Child, is a product of the Harlem Renaissance, written by County Coley, who was trying to affirm in a community that had been oppressed and dismissed by the society. In his poem, County Coley raised 3 questions for the audience to consider. Number 1, do you know who you are? That deals with your identity. Number 2, do you know where you're going? That deals with your destiny. Number 3, do you know that you are strong? That deals with your ability. Any person you meet and does not know their identity, does not know their destiny, that's not aware of their ability, that's a person that's living a paralyzed life. He raises these questions because these questions need to be answered by any person and any child of God. God, who will make a way for us, who will allow us to progress in life, he asks these questions. Do you know who you are? I like that question. But before you answer that question about do you know who you are, first you have to know who you are not. You are not a female dog. You're not a hoe. You're not a thought. You are not a thug. You are not a nigger. You're not a mistake. You're not a failure. But do you know who you really are? You are artwork of the Almighty. You are pieces of the Prince of Peace. You were made with materials from the Master. Your substance comes from the Sovereign. There's divinity in your humanity. There's some divine in your dust. There's some spirit in your soul. You are a miracle crafted from the mud. You are particles from heaven on earth. You are formed in the image of God. You are inhaling the breath of God. And when you stop inhaling the breath of God, you'll go back to be with God. You are special. You are anointed. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are God's work. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, God sanctified thee and ordained thee and made you a prophet a prophet of change, agent to the nations. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a peculiar people. And the sad reality is that we are dealing with generations of people who don't know who they are horizontally or vertically. You got to know who you are. That's why it's easy to take lives from somebody else. That's why it's easy to take another person's life. That's why it's easy always to point the finger, the bony finger of scrutiny at somebody else. For that's one of our misfortunes, because we forget that we are dealing with other people. There is power in you from heaven, but there's also some power in you from your history. Your rich history goes back as far as Africa. Your history did not begin in 1619. When they bought the slaves over on ships in Jamestown, Virginia, your ancestry built pyramids that they still can't figure out how they built them today. Y'all awfully quiet in here. Don't you know who you are? But you also got to ask yourself, where you going? Because if you know who you are, but you don't know where you're going, you're still wasting your time. Because distractions can delay your destinations, but when you know who you are, they can't destroy your destination. They can delay your destination, but they can't destroy your destination. Because you got to have some eyes in line to realize that I'm going to finish this race. I refuse to hang around anybody who ain't going nowhere. Whatever you do, don't you ever jump in the car. Don't you ever hang out with folks who don't know where they're going. Here's some questions you need to ask people when you decide that's who you want to be with, who you want to spend your life with. One question you ought to ask them is, where are you going? What are your dreams? What are you trying to do? Do you love God? What are you working towards in life? Do you want to own your own house? What type of neighborhood do you want to live in? Do you want to go to college and get a degree? Do you have some aspirations for your life? You've got to know where you're going. At my first semester in college, I shall never forget, I failed world history. Watch out. But because I knew I needed that class in order to graduate, I picked up the broken pieces. I picked up the broken pieces, and the next semester, I went back to world history, sent by the right people. And somehow, between sitting in the back of the class being the clown and sitting up front with the right people, I was able to pass that class. You got to know where you're going. I should never forget, I had to withdraw from algebra twice. I had to retake it because I didn't want to fail there too. But because I knew where I was going, because I knew what I wanted, I had my mind set, and I wasn't going to let anybody waste my time and make my mistakes determine where I was going to be. Because although I had failed algebra, although I had failed history, that didn't make me a failure. I know I wasn't a failure. When you know where you're going, it doesn't matter how many hiccups you have, as long as you can still keep focused and realize you have a destiny. Do you know where you're going? I don't care how many times you failed. I don't care how many times you went back to doing the things that you said you would never do again. All you got to remember that that's just a hiccup in the road. And I refuse to become a product of what mistakes I made in life. I refuse to be what folks label me that, because I am a child of the King. Somebody said the tragedy in life is not reaching your goals. The tragedy in life is not having any goals to reach for. It's a calamity to die and never have any dreams. It's not a disgrace to not reach the stars, but it's a disgrace not to have any stars to reach for. Not failure, but low aim is a sin. Do you know you are strong? Do you know that? Y'all don't know that. I can tell by the way you answer. That is a question. Do you know that you are strong? We were captured, but we still strong. We were slaves, but we're still strong. We were sold like property, but we are still strong. Our women were raped, but we are still strong. Our family was separated, but we are still strong. We were whipped, but we are still strong. We were lynched, but we are still strong. We worked in the cotton fields from sun up to sundown, but we are still strong. We work for free, but we're still strong. We work. We were looked at as 3/4 of the human being, but we are still strong. We're denied the right to vote, but we are still strong. They spat on us, they talked about us, but we are still strong. They sold our children, but we are still strong. Our leaders was assassinated, but we are still strong. Our brothers have been humiliated. Our teenagers was incarcerated. Our schools were segregated. Our churches were desecrated. But through it all that, we just like baby kids. We didn't die, we multiplied. Because we're still strong. I'm sorry, y'all. I came from down south. You are stronger than people think you are. You are not defeated. The older people dealt with more mess than we ever have to deal with. And if they dealt with it and made life better for us, don't you know what you're going through ought to help you make life better for somebody else? Don't you know you are strong? I'm too strong to quit. I told y'all before, I ain't never scared. Some of y'all won't clap because you worried about what somebody gonna say about you, but the truth is, I am strong. I come from strong roots. I come from a great background. I got a great history behind me. And when you don't know the history, you sit here like a knot on the law because you're too big. I'm too strong to be quiet. You got to know where you're going. You got to know who you are. You got to know you're strong. I know the child of this text isn't black, but I see some similarities. The gospel miracle that is in every gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Feeding of the 5,000. But the only one that mentioned it was a little boy who provided the meal was John. You see, in other stories, nobody mentioned him. But John, who wrote the last story, didn't forget to mention where Jesus got the meal from. There are so many children today who have lived their entire lives and feel forgotten by the community, forgotten by the church. And we get mad at children today because they don't want to come to church. But you got to realize we live in a day and time where cookies and punch and hamburgers don't do it no more. If you want the kids of this generation, you got to go to them. You talking about why they don't come to church, why you don't go to them. Y'all just scared. In our text, not only was he forgot, but his name was never mentioned. That's what they tried to do to Trayvon Martin. That's what they tried to do to Eric Garner. That's what they tried to do to Freddie Gray. Y'all getting awfully quiet on me. That's what they did to Mike Austin. That's what they did to Sterling Silver, Philando Castile. They didn't want you to know their name. Because if you don't know their name, you don't associate them with being a person. You see, here's what they try to do. The media try to make you forget your name and put up pictures that displays them as thugs, as its, as things, as female. They try to make you forget that you're dealing with a person. And not dealing with someone. They try to make you forget that you're dealing with somebody who is born and made in the image of God. Because if I kill a thing, it doesn't matter. See, out of jail. So the media tries to make us think that when somebody is killed, you're not killing a person, but you're killing a thing. Whatever you do, don't let nobody ever take your identity away from you. Because if they take your identity away from you, then you become a problem and not a person. But this boy in verse 9, I love this boy because he had 5 barley loaves. That let me know that this boy's status, let me know of his status, because those who had any type of finances, they didn't eat barley loaves. They ate white bread or wheat bread. And since it says barley loaves, that lets us know that's a poor boy. He's living on the rough side of time. The King James Version calls him a lad. The word lad in Greek means slave child. This boy is not a normal child in that it's possible he's been raised with no parents. He's been sold to people who only use him for what they can get out of him. Maybe he didn't have a biological father present or biological mother present in his life. But I love this text, but when all the odds stacked against him, we're still talking about this boy some 2,000 years later. You've got to know, no matter what your background, no matter what your situation is, God can reach in, pull you up out of the hood of Pensacola, put you in Salina, Kansas, put you in Junction City, Kansas, and make you a pastor. When folks said you would make it out of the hood, you got to know that God specializes in doing things that you and I can't do, things that you and I can't say. When other folks think see good in you, God already has your assignment made out for you. Anybody in the house done some things in some places that folks didn't think you would ever go. You didn't know if you would ever go. Anybody in the house can say, I did that, folks talked about it, said I wasn't going to make it, I couldn't make it. But when you turn around and look back over your life, you know that it's not big hard. Yes, sir. You got to know that God can take you anywhere. You got to know that God can use you right where you're at. It doesn't matter if you got pregnant out of wedlock. Don't let that confine you. Don't let what they call you classify you. As I said the other day, we ain't calling nobody by no street name. Your brother and sister in Christ. Once you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. We're calling folks by what the media is calling them. Keep calling folks by the mistakes they made in life. That don't make that person. That's just an issue they had in there. I don't know about you, but I got some issues I've had. Matter of fact, you catch me on the wrong day, you'll find out some of my issues I still got. Always want to put a label on somebody. We got to cut that foolishness out. And we wonder why the folks don't want to hear what we got to say. They don't call you what they want. But don't you let them ever stop you from seeing God in you. God's grace is sufficient. You may have to struggle with God's grace. You may have to try sometime with God's grace. You may not know how you're going to get the bills paid. But can I tell you about God's grace? You may not have a mama, but can I tell you about God's grace? You may have never met your daddy, but can I tell you about the grace of God? Number one, you need to watch the crowd. Number one, watch the crowd. So like this in verse number 2, a large crowd kept following him, because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up to the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was near. When he looked up and saw a large crowd coming to him, Jesus said to Philip, where do we buy bread for these many people? Philip said, he said this to test him, for Jesus knew what he was going to do. Somehow this large crowd, this little boy, ends up hanging out in this large crowd. Maybe some folks would call him a church boy, I don't know, but he ended up hanging out around the church, and Jesus himself knew. You know what? I've been preaching 30, 45 minutes, and After you preach that long, we all looking for some chicken, green beans, cornbread, collard greens, and cabbage. He said, you know what? Church is out. We need to be able to feed these people. And he said, hey, we ain't got nothing to feed them with. He said, but you do know there's a young man here, but he don't have a whole lot. A young man, he has sense enough though to know that although I'm poor, that don't mean that I can't have nothing to help somebody else out with. Jesus says, can you get the young boy and bring him to me? And I love this because you got to realize anytime you're in the crowd with Jesus, you're in the right crowd. Can I tell you why some of us got so much headache and so much stress? Why some of us got sugar diabetes? Why some of us can't sleep at night? Because we spend too much time dealing with the wrong crowd. We spend too much time hanging out with June bugs, favorite creature, chasing and running up and down the street. We spend too much time with the wrong folk. We spend too much time reading all the negative stuff on Facebook, Instagram, and social media. We spend too much time in all that mess. And so we can't get no rest because we're dealing with the wrong crowd. And so every time I open my mouth, it's about something negative. Every time I got something to say, it's about, did you hear such and such? I ain't got time for all that mess. Y'all get quiet when I tell y'all like my sermon. That's why we took up the offering before I preached. You see, some of us, we never find peace because we're always hanging out with the wrong crowd. That's why when everybody else is learning Cardi B's song, I like it. Yeah, I see y'all. When everybody else is learning that song, you at church praying, you don't even look like right trying to do the twerk. I tell you who know how to do it. You can testify that being in church is a whole lot better than being in the streets, being in the club. After a while, all that stuff dies down, and it will take you along with it. Some folks I went to high school with are still doing the same thing they've always done. They look old, they look beat up, they got 2 teeth in their mouth, they got the nerve to have a golden cap on one of them. Still wearing the same members on his jacket, still wearing Jordan jeans. I mean, come on, man. When is the party gonna be over? You will be criticized. Right there in verse number 9, you will be criticized. He says it like this in verse number 9. There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they for so many? Andrew is saying there's a boy here with 5 fish and 2 barley loaves. Jesus asked, is there any food around here? Andrew says, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. Jesus says, is there any food? Andrew says, there's a boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. You got to know, no matter how good you are, no matter what you do, somebody's going to criticize where you're at and what you're doing. He says, what are they for so many? Andrew is saying, he's got some, but it ain't enough for everybody else. Andrew judged this boy based on what he seen the boy have. He didn't think he had enough for what Jesus needed. Some of our children are still fighting. Some of them are still fussing. Some of them are still being so disrespectful. Some of them are still shooting each other. Some of them are still getting arrested because they don't think they're good enough. They don't think what they have is good enough. I shall never forget, some years ago, Michael Jordan came out to a basketball camp. He had on some new sneakers. And one of the boys there at the camp, he said, he asked Jordan, he said, what are those? And if you don't know what that means for this younger generation, when they say, what are those, they really coming for you. Am I right? And that means they coming for you. When somebody say, what are those, they are coming for you. They really are talking about you. They are really insulting you, saying, do you really realize what you got on? This This boy at Jordan's camp, because he had never seen Michael Jordan new shoes, he comes to Jordan and say, "What are those?" And what he didn't realize is that just because you ain't seen them, you got to know that just because you ain't seen it yet. What he didn't realize is that in a couple of years, those same shoes he was asking Jordan, "What are they?" He gonna be paying $200 for them. You got to know that just because somebody don't lift the bar right now, don't give you a right to try to assault them and ask them, "What are those?" Because you don't know what God has placed in them. It don't matter how people pick on you. When God has gifted you and blessed you, don't you try to please anybody else just because people don't understand you and because people don't see the God that's inside of you. I like this. I've never ever had big muscles. Always built pretty good. But what I love about this, my wife will tell you, she said, "No, that she didn't marry me because I had big muscles. She married me because I got a good mind." Somebody say he might not be the strongest, he might not have a six-pack, but I know he got a mind. You see, the muscles will fail you, but the mind will always be there to take care of you. Stop getting caught up in Instagrams and all that social media. Always talking about junking and Trump, thicker than the Snicker. Don't y'all get caught up. Somebody, she got a bright behind. Because you give it 30 to 40 years, it'll all fall down. I know, I'm sorry for the scenes. I'm just trying to keep it real for the young folks. I'm sorry. Grandma said what goes up will come down. I should never forget, I would never get in trouble in school for skipping school. I didn't skip. But when I got in trouble the most for was my mouth. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't stop talking. Never got in trouble for anything else but my mouth. And I should never forget, folks say, "You ain't gonna be there because you run your mouth too much." It's amazing now how God can take me from everywhere because of my mouth. Whatever folks said was gonna be my dismise, God took it and blessed it and used it as a skill and as a talent. Have been to Korea, have been to Germany, have been all over the United States. God used this mouth. Have went into prisons everywhere. God has used this mouth to save mouth. Folks said, "Rape me off." It's the same mouth. God used to be a blessing to somebody else. Don't you hate on folks because of the way God blessed them. Don't you despise folks because of what God has used them for. Because God is not just using them. Number 3, you are whole and complete. Number 3, you are whole and complete. He says there in verse number 9, and I love it. He says, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. You're not, let me tell you, you ain't dating somebody to complete you. You don't get married to have somebody to complete you. You are whole and complete. You don't need friends to complete you. You don't have to try to fit in to feel like you're complete. It don't matter with or without you, you're still complete. I said, where's he going with that? That ain't in the text. It's right there in the text. The boy has 5 barley loaves, 2 fish. He has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. He has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. I said I feel eligible, not pre-eligible. He had 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. He had 5 barley loaves, 2 fish. 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. Y'all still ain't getting this. He had 5 barley loaves, 2 fish. 5 plus 2 is... Y'all didn't hear me. The boy already had 7. 7 is completion. 7 is I got all I need. You got to know as long as you got Jesus, you don't need nobody else. You got everything you need. The question is, do you believe that you're already complete? You got to know that once you got the Holy Spirit living in you, you don't need nobody else. The boy got all he needs. You're stronger than what you think you are. You're wiser than what you think you are. You don't need Gucci. You don't need Prada. You don't need a red shoe bottle. You ain't got to drive a Mercedes. You ain't got to drive a Rolls Royce. God is all that you need. You ain't got to have a mansion up on the hill. You ain't got to have a dress for every Sunday in the month. You already got everything that you need as long as you got Jesus. I love this because the boy already had everything that he needed. Fourth and finally, you always win with Christ. You're going to win when you're with Christ. Verse 10 says it like this. It says, Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was a great deal of grass in the place. So they sat down. About 5,000 in all. Then Jesus took the loaves. And when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. Amen. Jesus took the 5 plus the 2 and gave thanks. Somebody just said, what are these? That can't feed everybody. These 5 barley loaves and 2 fish can't take care of this. Jesus didn't say anything. Jesus took it. And the Bible says he touched it. The very thing that you said wasn't good enough. That's the thing Jesus took. And he touched. The thing that you said wouldn't fit, Jesus touched it. You never thought it would be enough, but Jesus touched it. You never was on the honor road, but Jesus touched you. You didn't have all the material things that you wanted in life, but Jesus, he touched you. You went to college and struggled all the way through, but Jesus touched you. You don't know how you made it, but can I tell you how you made it? Because Jesus touched you. The Bible says that Jesus took what they had. He touched it. And so he gave thanks. Too many times we're asking God for more instead of giving him thanks for what we already have. I may not have what I want, but God, I thank you for what I do have. May not have steak in the freezer, but God, I thank you for the Roman noodles and the sardines. God, I may not have the prettiest house in the world, but God, I think I got a place to lay my head. May not have the car I want to drive, but God, I thank you to allow me to get to the places I need to get to. God, I may not be able to do everything I want to do for my family, but God, I thank you for not letting me walk out on my family. You got to start thanking God for the things he's already done for you in your life. Anybody in the house thankful because of what God has already done for you? Then you ask God, God, I thank you for what you've already done. You called me from the mighty long way. You see me, you take me from and then you live out. I thank you for what you've already done. Ain't he worthy to be praised? Ain't he worthy to be praised? Ain't he worthy to be praised? Won't he make a way out of no way? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he open doors nobody can open? Won't he close doors that nobody can close? Won't he do it? Still, the undefeated heavyweight champion of all time, my God! My God! My God! My God! Say yeah! Say yeah! Yeah! My God! somebody here do not know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior? You do not have a church home. If you're here temporarily, you can come on the watch here. This will be an opportunity for you to come. If you desire special prayer, you can come at this time as well. Do not have a church home, do not know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Maybe you're not growing where you're going. We would love to have you here. You can come on the watch here. However God directs you, if He's touching you, talking to you right now, don't forsake this opportunity because nobody knows what tomorrow will. Maybe you just need